Hello. Yes, I've reached the big 50. I'm amazed. As a kid, you never think you're actually going to get there. It's so far off, it's unfathomable. But I have to say, though, thinking those thoughts, I remember those thoughts just as quickly as I can remember what I was thinking yesterday, which is quite alarming because it just shows just how quickly this shit goes. What have I learned? Well, fucking hell. Let's work our way forward from when we were younger. We learned that you had to obey your parents, and that your parents were, to all intents and purposes, God until further notice, right? Literally, they had the power, if you saw it, over you of life and death. Clearly, that wasn't quite the case. Well, unless you was probably born into some sort of death cult, then maybe it was. Or your parents joined the Davidians over in Texas. But anyway, I digress. You worshipped your granddad and your granny, if you were lucky enough like me, and you listened to school with less and less interest until the point you pretty much shut off. You didn't understand why it was that you had to follow all these fucking rules. They're not my rules, I don't make these rules, fuck your rules. And there were a few, probably like yourself now, that were like that. And you went through life listening to people like your parents and getting more and more confused about what they were saying, because it seemed that all they wanted you to do, along with the teachers, is blindly follow whatever it was that they told you. Don't ask questions. So it seems, for me, that the process of indoctrination and dumbing down, which starts at not quite play school, it's just after that. If you're a good little human being, what you'll do is you'll come out of that thicker, worse, all right, submissive, passive, and you'll become a good little debt slave, right? Well, clearly this didn't work. And an example of that would be that my brother, who followed the system, and my father, who followed the system, all ended up bankrupt, right? And not once, by the way, but anyway, twice. And my father used to get really angry at me. What makes you think you're so special? What makes you think you don't have to follow the rules? He was the perfect example of indoctrination, and yet if you listen to him, he thought he was enlightened, all right? And now, at the age of late 70s, sat there with really not a great deal of show, unfortunately for him, and I feel sorry for that, so I'm not mocking him. He followed the rules, he did what he was told, and by following their rules, you're always going to fail. That was why they set the rules up. Obvious, really. So, I went through the meat grinder with the rest of you, and many of those people that went through the meat grinder at the same time as me aren't here now, alright? Not because of the meat grinder, it's just because of fate. Some of them had accidents, some of them got ill, some of them, I don't know, all sorts of things, but they're not here anymore. So, to make it to 50, I'm an extremely privileged person. I mean, I'm not taking a piss, I am lucky to be here, right? And especially after some of the things I got up to. Now, if you'd have talked to my friends back in, I don't know, 1920, well, that being my age at the time, they didn't think I was going to live very long, so I was flat out everywhere. I had car crashes and all sorts, drinking, fighting, all the rest of it, right? But there, by the grace of God, I'm here today. A few little marks and dents, but generally speaking, the chassis is not too bad, except the fact that obviously I've got a chest infection at the moment, and a cold, and a gout that I've had. But really, generally speaking, fuck all. Nothing like some of those poor bastards that come back from the First or Second World War, mangled, right? So, do you know what? I put some of this down to not doing sports. Some of these people that went out long distance running, all their hips and knees are fucked, but, you know, you've got to keep fit. I just think there's probably easier ways of doing this. So, after learning all the stuff that I probably shouldn't have learned, I then had to go out and learn all the stuff that I needed to know, right? This is where you get rejected by the pack. Now, some of you will know exactly what that's like. I certainly do. They called me, I can't imagine how many names, but conspiracy theorists would have been one, far right would have been the other, racist would have been another, homophobe, Islamophobe, what's the other fucking one? Anti-Semite, just about everything really. I've been called every fucking name going. Now that started quite loud at the beginning, right? And it's died down to the point now where you hardly hear it. And the reason for that is because you were right all the way along. Now, one thing that growing this old teaches you is try not to be arrogant and brag. And you were right. You were right. but you were lucky to be right in some ways. You could have gone down the same path as one of the others, or maybe not. But here we are, and at 50 years old, I realise I've got another 20 years to do some good. Now, achievements, what am I proud of? Well, I'm actually proud of this, the YouTube channel, but the most thing I'm proud of is my daughter, because cross between me and her mother, we managed to make ourselves a human being which we're proud of. And I do love my little daughter to bits. And I can say now, at this age, straight up to her in front of her mates or whoever, who loves you, and she'll say straight back, Daddy does. To me, that warms my heart, and she is the reason that I exist, because there was a dark time in my life that I was thinking about knocking it on the head, but I realised I couldn't do it because I had a daughter. So, we're also told, by the way, to expect out of life far too much, alright? And I mean this. Because we're sold at school, right, during the indoctrination, that if you work hard, you can have a house, you can have cars, you can have holidays, you can have all of these things if you work hard. And there's that carrot dangling away in front of you. And for some people, it has worked. But for the most of us, we'll just get by, right, with a few things, right, and many of us will actually think we've been done by, when really we haven't. I mean, as long as we've got things like the air in our lungs, we've got family around us, we've got food on the table with a roof over our head, that's more than a lot of people get in this life, and we should be thankful for that. But we're told to expect far too much, so that then we go out and work harder to try and achieve these things, so that we can look at other people and go, they haven't got what we got. We fell into the trap, many of us, some of us didn't. And I always went about, my old man said, well, why don't you want to work and do this and do that, right? Don't you want nice things? I went, no. And he looked at me, he was completely stunned by this, right? And I realise now that my dad's entire life was spent trying to build us a better home, love him, right? Giving us a better standard of life, putting us into a middle class area, right? And trying to create a really good company with making a lot of money, right? So that we could move up a status. That was important to him. And for me, it never was. And he equated me to being like my Uncle Ian or my Uncle Graham, right? Who he considered to be Jack the Lads, right? Never going to achieve much. The sad thing is that because my dad took advice on things like bank managers, business managers, and other fly-by-night wankers who really didn't actually know that much, or worse still, knew exactly what they wanted to do, i.e. get him loaned up to expand his business, and then when the crash comes and maybe they knew it was coming, we can have your house, which is exactly what happened, right? After all of this, and there's me still not actually wanting to achieve a great deal, right? My uncles that he compared me to, now, loving families, very close, have their own gaff, go on holiday, do everything they want to, but they never overstep themselves, right? Now, I'll get off the dad thing and all the rest of it, but because I never actually had any great aspirations, I've never felt let down. Never felt, oh, I'm hard done by. I've never felt like, oh, I should have had the house and the missus and the kids and all the rest of it, because I never fell into it, because that was the indoctrination at school that so many people fell for. And at 50 years old, I feel that because I haven't spent my entire life chasing a carrot, I ended up having so much fun in my late teens, all the way through my 20s and my 30s, that if I dropped down dead now, I would be okay with that, alright? It's not something I want to do, but I'd be okay. But then I realised that after getting a load of knowledge and spreading it onto you guys, right, that I actually found what I would call, not me calling, right, that's not what, that sounds weird. I'm trying to find the right word for this and I usually get stuck, but I found a vocation. I found something that I felt like I was good at and actually gave me a great sense of, you're doing something right here. Because for years I've been looking around for, what is it that I should be doing? I had that for years. I knew it would come, and I knew I had no idea what it was, and it would be something I'd never expect. Exactly this, by the way, right? Never did I think I'd speak in front of a camera, in front of people who actively wanted to listen, that amazes me, by the way, and still stuns me now, so thank you, right? But actually had a similar way of thinking, not all the time, but most of the time, and that I'm not on my own, and neither are you. This stuff warmed me right up. Now, before I started out my YouTube channel, I had a mate who, he was the one that woke me up. Complete autist, by the way, funny as fuck, but yeah, we clashed. But he says, I don't think you're going to be able to take the insults that are going to come your way. He says, I think that's really going to affect you, because my mental health was fairly delicate, right, at the time. Like, not long diagnosed with bipolar and fucking anxiety and depression and shit. So he thought it was really going to affect me, but it actually went the other way. As people started to pick on me and do what they did, I actually thought, this is fun. I know, psycho, right? Not really. I actually felt that these people were so afraid of the truth, so utterly controlled, they just didn't want to hear anything else but what I've got to say. So when I got into it, I also attracted a lot of chances. People that wanted to gain something out of you. Well, we see through them, right? But it's been a very, very positive thing. I've met some really, really sound fuckers. And I mean that. You know you are, right? And I still keep in contact with a lot of them. I'm not the best at keeping in contact. I am a bit shit like that, all right? I've never been very good at it, and I'm absolutely piss poor at organisation. Some of you may know this. Because I still want to get that bike meeting together, right? Incidentally, I bought a bike for that, right? I'm getting rid of the Bandit because it's run its course and sent it to somebody else who can then learn to ride on it like I did. I bought an FJR 1300 with all the panniers and everything, so I go touring. So I go around Scotland, do Wales, and I'm doing the Walgraves with a couple of mates in September. Going out of my comfort zone. But coming back to it, yep, I feel that in my life I've been lucky enough to achieve some good stuff, and I've been lucky enough to be satisfied with what I have, right? And that means staying on the sofa at night on my own, watching about history and filling my head, because I can't tell you how much pleasure. I mean, if I want a bit of a day off, right, or whatever, I'll go and watch about the Mafia and how they acted. Or if I want to get deep in thought, I'll go and watch about the Northern Ireland Troubles, because, to be honest, there's a lot of similarities in what happened there that what will happen here, right? All over Europe as well. So, if you know where you've come from, you know where you're going. Now, so a lot of people will say, oh, there's no comparison at all. Really? Religious, right, bigotry or whatever. I mean, you had two sides there against each other that looked the fucking same, right? But based on their religion, one was Catholic, one was Protestant, they wanted to not live and fuck out of each other and blow each other up, shoot each other and all the rest of it. There was more to it than that, but I'm making it really simplified, right? But now, you've got a death cult that's moved in all over the world, right? Trying to conquer again, as it did back in the fucking ages, right? That wants to die to be martyred. Imagine, right? Because the difference between them and us is we don't really want to die for this, all right? But they will persecute you because of your religion, or your lack of religion in some cases, by the way. They're more likely to hate you for being an atheist than being a Christian, believe it or not. I know, man, I know. So, I would learn about that. Why is my mate all over the road in front? I think he's not having a heart attack. That would be bad. That would be bad, wouldn't it? Yeah. So, that's what I would learn, just to chill out. I know it sounds weird to you, but I love knowledge. Absolutely love it. And obviously learning stuff is quite fucking useful, especially where we're going. Now, I'm not trying to learn how to be a terrorist. Oh no. Because especially as everything that they did over there, you couldn't get away with nowadays anyway, just saying. But it was how the two were against each other, what kept it going, etc, etc, you get it. So, there it is. Plans for the future are keep going, keep doing YouTube. Reduce the drinking back down to nothing again, all right? I'll probably have a pint or two tonight, all right? And then I've got go-karting Saturday, then after that everything else is done. So that's it, and that's how I'm celebrating my 50th. And I hope this video was sort of interesting. How long have we done? Fuck me, 14 minutes, nearly 15. I can talk, can't I? And yet, I could talk away like this to you lot. Do I want to go out and meet a load of strangers who have no idea about the sort of stuff I do and talk to them. Not really. You know, as a kid, I wanted to be liked by everybody. I thought it was the most important thing. And if people didn't like me, I was upset about that because I was thinking, why? Obviously now I couldn't give a fuck. And that is one of the things that old age brings you. The gift of knowledge, the gift of, no, this thing doesn't matter, or this does. These are actually more important than those things you thought were important as a kid. Like my daughter, she'll find things she gets focused on so important, they're important to her now, but I know they won't be important to her in the future. And I was the same. And it is the gift of age that I've been bestowed that others haven't. So anyway, there it is. Right, well look, I've said my bit for now. And I'll see you all later.